Day one of the Cowboys training camp is in the books. Quarterback Dak Prescott was on the field taking reps. Looking to battle back from injury last season, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy weighed in on his quarterback.
He looks great. He was just out here in the talk through, and he's got a lot of bounce. And I just want to see him get through every practice, and hopefully just knock the rust off. Get through the pain-free moments. And I think that everybody goes through when you're coming back of a big injury, a joint injury, and I do think he's past that. But he has to go through this just like everybody else. I think Dak will be fine.
All right, good news for Dallas fans there. Jeremy Nink coming back in. Jeremy, I'll start with you. What's the latest you're hearing about Dak's health?
Well, Ryan, Dak Prescott has already cleared a major hurdle, I'm told, because there was a play in practice yesterday, first day of camp. Prescott rolls to his left, even without a pass rush. He didn't even need to. Rolls to his left, throws a dime 30 yards downfield on the move. I'm told he had been working on that very play because rolling to your left is a hurdle when you're coming off a major foot ankle injury like he is. He wanted to show that he is just fine. There's no mental blocks there. He can do just about everything. So the next step for the Cowboys is they're going to put him in some 11-man work, maybe have a little more congestion around the pocket, around his feet, but they do not anticipate any problems with their franchise quarterback.
Okay, good news there for Dallas. And Nink, what do you think a successful season looks like in Dallas? And you talked this morning in our meeting about how you've spoken to some Cowboy fans on this. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I'm not, I wouldn't say that I am a diehard Cowboys fan, except my buddy Todd Cowan is a diehard Cowboys fan, and he has a newborn baby. So guess what? I knew he'd be up super early, and I shot him a text message, and I said, hey, Todd, what do you think the expectations are for a successful season this year in Dallas? And I'll actually just read you the text message because he said every year Super Bowl or bust in Dallas, okay? But he would say an NFC championship game would be considered a successful season. I personally thought that just winning the division would be successful, but he goes on to add, just winning the worst division in football, who cares? Win when it matters. So that is directly from one of my best friends, Todd Cowan, who is a super Dallas Cowboys fan. You go in his basement, I think he might have broke a few TVs down there in the past. We can't mention the Tony Romo field goal botch snap. You can't mention that or he loses it. So I think that coming from the fans of Dallas, getting to a Super Bowl or bust, but if they can't get to the Super Bowl, it's got to be an NFC championship. And that's coming directly from my buddy Todd.
Okay, if you can't get to the Super Bowl, it's got to be an NFC championship. Ryan Clark now joining us. So, Ryan Clark, what is a successful year in Dallas? Can they get to an NFC championship and make that fan happy?
Ryan, do you have to call me by my whole name so people don't confuse me with you? Or is it so you don't confuse
we're two
me
Ryans.
with you? Okay, hey, listen, I'm just asking, man. RC works as well. Hey, look, when you think about the Dallas Cowboys, right, and you think about what they've been for the last quarter century, you listen to Neek's buddies Todd. Todd's feeling like every Cowboys fan has felt for the last 25 years, that it's Super Bowl or bust, that they have to win in the playoffs. And I'm going to tell you this. This is how I feel. If they don't win the NFC East, if they don't win a playoff game, Dan Quinn will be the next next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. This will be Mike McCarthy's last year. Everything you hear out of Dallas is the way Dan Quinn is moving this team, the way Dan Quinn is leading this team, the defense and the different changes that they've made. When they went into the offseason, they didn't just go in and say, let's be Seattle or let's be Atlanta. They said, we're going to get all of these great coaches together and we're going to build a defense. We're going to build a book that allows us to stop people. They watched that film last year. It was historically awful in Dallas. That has to get better. But when Mike McCarthy gets rid of Mike Nolan, he says to the world that I was not the problem, right? We thought he was the problem in Green Bay. This is the reason you can't win with Aaron Rodgers. Now we give you the Dallas Cowboys. You said Mike Nolan was the issue. You have a defense now. If they don't win the East, if they don't win playoff games in advance, Mike McCarthy is out and Dan Quinn will be the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, imagine that. And you know what? It's life in the NFL, right, RC? Always looking over your shoulder, whether you're a coach or a player. Doesn't matter. All right, let's turn now to the Pittsburgh Steelers because they were camping as well, and they're the other team to complete their first day of training camp, led by Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers look to build off that early hot start from last season. So let's bring in Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor. She's getting up with us. And Brooke, you know, it's interesting. Wednesday, Ben wore a shirt that said different to training camp. What more can you tell us from opening day in terms of Big Ben?
Well, Ryan, Ben told me that he is indeed feeling different going into this training camp, and that's because he's been pretty picky about his offseason throwing partner.
Yeah, my arm feels a lot fresher, if you will, just because this time last year I had thrown thousands of footballs trying to get ready for this. And this year, today was the first day I've thrown a ball since training camp, other than throwing to my son in the backyard. So it feels more normal of an off season, if you will. So my arm feels really, really good.
And last week, Bill Cowher said, knowing you, maybe you're filing away some of the things that were being said about you nationally. Do you use that as motivation here?
Are things being said nationally about me?
A little bit here and there.
Okay. What's new?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Go
ahead.
And Ben Roethlisberger is also trying to get used to having this new offensive line in front of him. And this is a one-day-at-a-time thing with Ben Roethlisberger getting used to having Kendrick Green in front of him. And look, it's going to be a tough thing to replace Maurkice Pouncey, the longtime center that he'd worked with for years. But he said he sees some things in Pouncey, or in Kendrick Green, that he saw in Pouncey. And that's a good start. He said Kendrick Green made all the right calls yesterday. They didn't fumble the snap. And as we talked to Mike Tomlin, he said, look, let's be honest, the offensive line cannot get any worse than last year when we were last in the league in rushing, so it's all up from here.
Okay, we cannot be any worse. That's an interesting sentiment right there alone. Brooke Pryor, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let me turn to the guys and bring everybody in. RC, who I'm now calling RC because our viewers now know he's Ryan Clark. What does the offense need to do for Pittsburgh to be successful? What does this offense need to do for Pittsburgh to be successful?
They have to establish some type of physicality. When you are a Pittsburgh Steeler, when you are part of Steeler Nation, it's about physicality and controlling both lines of scrimmage. The defense has been championship caliber for the last 3 years. Offensively is where they've waned. Offensively is where they've taken a step back. And it's not just about a new center, right? It's about Najee Harris. It's about Matt Canada. Can these people now